Hello and welcome to this travel update from my research trip to Kenya for WormPost. So this is going to be an unscripted and very loosely organized update that I mentioned in the video previously that I would do. And the goal is just to keep the WormPost followers, updated with the progress of the market research, but also for anybody who might be interested in kind of going in a foreign country and scouting a market or doing some market research for a social enterprise. I don't pretend to be an expert by any means, but I think that by sharing some of my experiences, some people might be able to learn useful information. So let's get started. This is my 5th day of my trip. I left Paris last Thursday. Last Wednesday, and it's Sunday now. First thing that I would like to mention is that getting into Nairobi, as you may know, I'm in Kenya now. I got into the Nairobi airport. First thing you need to know about Nairobi airport, and that might be a bit controversial, you're not going to have a fun time with taxis, with cabs. And if you have the option to do so, try to use Uber as much as possible. The reason for that is that taxi prices are way overpriced because you're kind of like expected to haggle and to bring prices down. But when you just get off the airplane, and it's a whole new experience for you, you're tired, you're carrying tons of suitcases, you have to organize everything, you have to withdraw money. I actually got a SIM card from Safaricom, just so that I can make phone calls and have data here for a much lower price than I would if I kept my French SIM card. So yeah, that was a huge hassle. And I took a cab because, I figured out I'm not going to worry about figuring out Uber at this point, or figuring out Uber in Kenya. I'm just going to take a cab. I think I ended up being way overcharged. Actually, I know that I ended up being way overcharged because then I talked to a lot of Uber drivers and Kenyan contacts here. And it's kind of my fault because I knew that I was supposed to haggle, but honestly I had no energy at that point. So that's one thing that you might be interested in knowing. Alright, so that was my first day there. So that was on Thursday morning. In the afternoon, I right away hit the ground running, started to make lots of phone calls, letting my contacts know that I was in town, that I was ready to meet. For those that I did not previously agree on the place and time to meet. And the rest of the day, I sort of felt like I was wasting my time because I had no one else to call. Most emails were already sent. So I went out, just kind of to explore the neighborhood that I was in. And that's like the first great thing that happened to me, because as you may know, I'm here to research sort of like how Kenyans are engaged in small-scale agriculture. And when you're a city, when you're in Nairobi, the capital city, you're going to have a lot of urban farmers. So I was really interested in that phenomenon. And going out, I was walking on the street and I saw these collections of what they called bag farming. It's essentially a plant that's growing in a bag. I'm probably going to put a picture right here. And I saw that. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And it's kind of like, it's like 1 kilometer away from my apartment. Like, wow, very interesting. And I saw a farmer down there that was kind of like maintaining, watering his plants. So I went out, talked to him, sort of like conducted my first interview, really impromptu, like that was really interesting. Actually, I learned a lot, especially in regards to how they actually do not. Well, I already kind of like had a suspicion of it, but it's not profitable for them to use fertilizers in with this method of back farming. At least not for the farmer that I took to at that point. So that was really interesting. I had a lot of takeaways from that, and that really stemmed from just me hanging out, walking around in the neighborhood. Bear in mind that I already did prior research, and I knew that the neighborhood I was staying in was a good neighborhood, I guess. For people who know Nairobi, I'm in between Westlands and Levington Estate. And that's a really nice neighborhood. So yeah, that was the first day. Second day, met with the contacts that I agreed on meeting, entrepreneurs, civil society leaders, at least some of them. There's still a lot more that I need to talk to. Made some phone calls. Again, I was working all day on that second day, and I sort of, I didn't burn out, but I was for sure pushing the limits. That's something that I will go back to at the end of this video. Third day was a Saturday. I ended up going to a farmer's market, an organics farmer's market. Really, really interesting. I was able to talk to a lot of farmers there, learning about their struggles, but also what works for them. And I think that's the most important thing. You should not always focus on what's the issue, but also what works. Because if you always try, or at least that's my approach at this point, is that if you only try to fix problems without building on what already works, you're gonna end up expending a lot of resources, not knowing 100%, not being 100% sure of the impact that you will have. It's really important to have a combination of improving what already works and fixing what doesn't work. So that's kind of like the way that I approach these interviews, asking them what do they love about their work, and what could be done better. And again, I'm just discussing the form, the content. You will have a lot of more videos when I get back and have more time to sort of organize all the takeaways that I had. So that was Saturday morning, the farmer's market. Saturday afternoon, I had some downtime, and I felt bad about having some downtime. So I kind of like looked online, find someone that I did not talk to yet, picked up my phone. Well, that's something I should talk about for people who are interested in doing market research in Kenya. Use your phone so much more than emails. It sounds pretty intuitive, or at least it makes sense, but you cannot you cannot make an understatement. People use phones a lot here. In all my Uber drivers, they had like 3 or 4 phones, each like answering most of their, like answering different phones at different times. I know it's not really safe, but hey, you know. And while they were speaking Swahili, so I'm not sure what was the conversations about, but I thought that was really interesting. The phone culture in Kenya is a lot different than it is, at least in the environments I'm familiar with, which is France and most of Europe, I guess, in the United States. But yeah, so I picked up my phone on that Saturday afternoon, and I went to see a company that's called Ukulima Tech. And what they do is they do vertical hanging gardens. They also install greenhouses that are powered with solar energy for monitoring devices. Very, very interesting. I'm gonna add some pictures again, I think. And very inspiring, sort of like seeing the entrepreneurial spirit that has happened around urban agriculture in Nairobi, at least. I was really impressed because they have only been around for 1 year, and the person that I met, she told me that they were swamped with orders, and there was so much going on at the same time. Unfortunately for them, they had 2 locations, and one of their main location was closed because it was on a rooftop of an academic building at a university in Nairobi. Unfortunately, the staff of universities in Kenya is on strike at this point, so all the facilities are closed, and that was really unfortunate for them. But still, like, they were carrying on. Very, very interesting, very inspiring. And that was yesterday, and that was pretty much it at this point. Last thing I want to talk about is going out and taking it easy. Like I mentioned, on my second day, I worked all day tirelessly, and I figured out that everything went well, but in some ways I was maybe at risk of sort of like discouraging myself, because even if everything went well so far and I was able to meet the people I wanted to meet, I know it's not going to be like this during the entirety of the trip. And that if something went wrong, and I mean just organization-wise, I'm not talking about like safety issues or anything like that, or sickness, or it's you want to sort of like manage your expectations, because you're in a foreign country. You probably don't know anything about or not much about the society that you're in, and you have to expect setbacks. And when you sort of like you keep adding on to what you've achieved already without sort of how you say, if you don't take a step back and sort of like summarize what you learned, sort of like take time to understand what happens, because there's so much information that's going your way. You have to give yourself time to process. That's what I'm trying to say. Give yourself time to process all the information, and don't add new experience back to back, because that's how you sort of like get burnt out, and that's how you forget things that you should not forget. So you take notes. Something that I do as well is I try to communicate a lot with my friends and families, or like what happened, what I learned, and that's a good way to process that information. But another good way is to go out at night. I'm not usually I'm not really a party person. When I'm in my regular location in France, I mean, I do go out with my friends, but that's not the point. Here, going out at night, really good way not only to meet people but to learn about the culture that you're in, and that's the most important thing that I think I will want to talk about today, is learning from everything that's around you, learning how people interact, learning what's the social norms, sort of like understanding your place in that whole new environment. And that's something that can be achieved in a less stressful setting, and I mean in a less professional setting, because all that time I was meeting future new contacts and future partners, hopefully, and I was really on my guards the whole time. It's a bit stressful, but you have to go at night and sort of like let it go. And that I think that's something that I'm glad I did. Last thing that I want to mention is have your business cards handy at all time. I met a lot of people that I wish I could have given my business card to, but it didn't happen because I didn't have it on me, and that's something I regret. So that's something that I'm gonna keep in mind for the rest of my trip. I don't know how that happened, but that's already 15 minutes of recording, so I have to stop here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll keep posting videos probably in another 5 days or something. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.